Right then, gather round you lot and let me tell you a tale that will chill your bones and make you question the very nature of humanity. This is a tale about a bloke named Julian, a right proper narcissist, but not just any narcissist, mind you. Julian was a master of his craft. Julian, he weren't your run-of-the-mill narcissist. No, he was something far more sinister, a man who thrived on the misery of others. He was a maestro of manipulation, conducting his life with a baton dipped in deceit. Every move he made was calculated. Every word he spoke was designed to ensnare. He'd charm your socks off while plotting your downfall, all with a devilish glint in his eye. His charm was his weapon, his smile a mask hiding his true intentions. Julian had this way of making you feel like the center of his universe. He'd look at you with those intense eyes, making you believe you were the only one that mattered. But it were all a facade, a carefully constructed illusion. Behind that mask was a man who cared for no one but himself. He'd spin tales of grandeur, weave webs of deceit, and suck the life out of you like a vampire. His words were like silk, but his intentions were as dark as night. He'd promise you the world, but deliver only heartache and despair. He'd build you up, only to tear you down, leaving you in ruins. So settle in, folks, and prepare to journey into the heart of darkness, into the world of a narcissist in love. A world where love is a weapon and trust is a trap. Welcome to the twisted mind of Julian. Julian was obsessed with his own reflection. He needed constant reassurance that he existed, that he was real. He craved validation like a junkie craves a fix. He built this perfect image of himself, this flawless facade. He was charming, witty, intelligent, successful. At least that's what he wanted everyone to believe. It were all smoke and mirrors, but it worked. People were drawn to him, captivated by his charisma and charm, and underneath it all lay a deep well of emptiness. Love for Julian wasn't about connection or intimacy. It were about power and control. He needed to be the puppeteer, pulling the strings of his lover's emotions. He'd start subtly, with little comments and suggestions, gradually chipping away at your self-esteem. He'd isolate you from your friends and family, making you dependent on him for everything. He'd twist your words, gaslight you into questioning your own sanity. He'd make you believe that you were lucky to have him, that you were nothing without him. He was a master manipulator, a puppet master pulling the strings of your heart. Julian thrived on adoration. He needed it like oxygen. He needed constant reassurance that he was special, that he was superior. He craved the validation of others like a drug, constantly seeking his next fix. He'd surround himself with admirers, basking in their praise and attention. He'd collect compliments like trophies, displaying them proudly for all to see. He'd manipulate situations to ensure he was always the center of attention. He was a bottomless pit of need, a black hole of ego that could never be filled. Every now and then the mask would slip. The carefully constructed facade would crumble, revealing the emptiness beneath. For a fleeting moment you'd catch a glimpse of the real Julian, the insecure, frightened little boy hiding behind the bravado. These moments were fleeting, quickly covered up with another layer of charm and deception. But they were enough to make you question everything, to realize that you were in love with a ghost, an illusion, a foolish hope, but a hope nonetheless. Once Julian had drained you dry, he'd discard you. He'd move on to his next victim, leaving you broken and bewildered. The discard was swift and brutal. One minute you were the center of his universe, the next you were nothing. He'd cut you off without a second thought, leaving you to pick up the pieces. And then, the cycle would begin anew. He'd find another victim, another source of narcissistic supply. The pattern would repeat itself, leaving a trail of broken hearts in his wake. Beneath the surface, beneath the charm and the bravado, lay a deep well of emptiness. Julian's exterior was a facade, a mask he wore to hide the void within. His eyes, though seemingly full of life, betrayed a haunting emptiness that no one could see, a black hole of need that could never be filled. It was an abyss that consumed everything, leaving nothing but a hollow shell. This void was a constant companion, a shadow that followed him everywhere. Julian was a hollow man, a shell of a human being. His laughter was empty, his smiles were forced. He moved through life like a ghost, unseen and untouched by the world around him. He was driven by a constant hunger, a desperate craving for something he could never quite grasp. This hunger gnawed at him day and night, a relentless force that pushed him to the brink of madness. He sought validation and adoration, but it was never enough. No matter how much praise he received, it always felt hollow. The applause of the crowd was a fleeting comfort, quickly replaced by the deafening silence of his own mind. He sought control and power, but it never brought him satisfaction. The more he achieved, the more he realized how empty his victories were. Power was a mirage, an illusion that vanished the moment he reached for it. He sought love, but he was incapable of truly giving or receiving it. His relationships were shallow, built on a foundation of lies and deceit. Love, for Julian, was just another means to fill the void, but it always left him feeling more empty. He was a prisoner of his own need, a slave to his own insatiable hunger. This need was a chain that bound him, a prison from which there was no escape. Julian's life was a never-ending quest for fulfillment, a journey with no destination. So there you have it, the end of a journey that has taken us deep into the recesses of a troubled mind. A glimpse into the twisted mind of Julian, a narcissist in love, his charm, his allure, all masking a darkness that few could see, a journey into the heart of darkness, into the world of a man consumed by his own demons. Each step he took, a descent further into his own abyss, a story that, I hope, has shed some light on the dark desires that lurk beneath the surface of narcissistic love, the flickering light of his charm casting long, eerie shadows of his true intentions. It's a chilling tale, a cautionary tale, one that reminds us of the desolate landscapes of the human soul, where love can sometimes turn into a haunting obsession. A reminder that not all that glitters is gold, and that sometimes the most charming people are the most dangerous. Their sparkle, a mere facade hiding the darkness within. Be careful who you let into your heart, for the heart is a vulnerable place, and not everyone who enters has good intentions. For sometimes the greatest danger lurks in the shadows of love, the shadows where true intentions are hidden, and where love can fade into something far more sinister.